In the blistering heart of the Levantine desert, where the sun beat down mercilessly on sand and steel, a legend was forged that would echo through the centuries. It was here, at Montgisard, in the year 1177, that one of the most incredible feats of arms in medieval history unfolded. A desperate stand where 600 Christian knights hurled themselves against an army nearly 40 times their size. At their head rode a boy king, ravaged by leprosy, who would become a symbol of unbreakable will, Baldwin IV, the Leper King of Jerusalem. Baldwin was just 16, his body already wasting under the relentless grip of disease. Yet there was fire in his eyes, a defiance that refused to yield to fate or enemy. While Saladin, the Sultan of Egypt and Syria, marched with an army said to number 26,000, Baldwin's own forces were a mere handful. 375 knights, 80 Templar brothers, and a scattering of foot soldiers and local levies. The odds were not merely daunting, they were impossible. Yet, what happened next shocked even the most hardened veterans. Saladin, intoxicated by victory and lulled by the seeming weakness of his Christian foes, grew careless. His vast host fanned out, foraging and pillaging, certain that no force could challenge them. He believed Baldwin was no threat, just a sickly boy king with a shattered army. But in war, overconfidence can be fatal. Baldwin saw opportunity in the chaos. With a courage that bordered on madness, he shadowed Saladin's columns along the Mediterranean coast, refusing to be seen, refusing to be caught. His men, battered but resolute, rode in silence, every muscle taut with anticipation. Then, at the perfect moment, Baldwin struck. He wheeled his force southeast, sweeping through the arid wilderness to intercept Saladin's army at Montgisard. The Muslim host, strung out and unprepared, was caught completely off guard. As the sun rose over the battlefield, the Christian war banners unfurled, and Baldwin himself, his body racked by pain, his right hand barely usable, rode at the very front, sword raised in his left hand, a living symbol to his men that there was no retreat, no surrender. The clash was apocalyptic. 600 knights crashed into Saladin's vanguard with a force like thunder, driving deep into the heart of the enemy ranks. The Muslim soldiers, unready and scattered, reeled under the shock. Steel met flesh, hooves pounded sand, and the air filled with the screams of battle. While enemies fled in terror, these warriors stood their ground, locked shoulder to shoulder, carving a path through overwhelming numbers. Baldwin's tactical brilliance turned a hopeless defense into a stunning rout. Saladin's men, demoralized by the sudden onslaught and unable to regroup, broke and ran. The Sultan himself barely escaped with his life, fleeing on a racing camel, his personal guard cut to ribbons. By the day's end, Saladin's mighty host had been shattered. His army reduced to a fraction, his baggage train lost, his ambitions in the Holy Land thrown into chaos. For 12 miles, the Christian knights pursued the fleeing remnants, their swords red with victory. At Montgisard, the desert drank the blood of thousands, and the legend of Baldwin IV was born. The Christian dead numbered over 1,000, but they had achieved the unthinkable. They had stopped the most feared fighting force of the age in its tracks. Muslim chroniclers would later say that only Saladin's triumph at Hattin, a decade later, could redeem the humiliation of Montgisard. But for a moment, under the relentless sun, a Leper King and his 600 knights changed the course of history. And as the dust settled, the world was left to wonder what strange alchemy of courage, faith, and genius had allowed a dying boy to humble an empire. The answer, shrouded by the sands of time, continues to haunt the annals of ancient war.